question is to Alexander Downer. Mr Downer, given that the Chinese foreign minister's sweep through Pacific nations will include Timor-Leste, do you reflect on the allegations that your government bugged the cabinet rooms of the Timor-Leste government?
So did Australia bug the East Timor cabinet rooms?
So as has been the case with all Australian governments since the Second World War, we certainly don't get into any discussion about intelligence operations, specific intelligence operations, and never will. I mean, I'm not a minister anymore.
You were
but
at
I
the time,
certainly never, I was, but I would certainly never betray the confidences that I have and the obligations that I have to support the privacy of the work that our intelligence agencies do. But we have,
you've said in general sense
we have ways, of course, of the intelligence services are overseen in any case. So they operate, of course, under the law, under Australian law.
Yeah, they do. But you've just said, in a general sense, this is what we do, but in a specific case of East Timor, you won't confirm.
Correct.
Okay. Should the cabinet papers from that time be made public?
No, I think we need to protect our intelligence services or not have them at all. I mean, our practices here, by the way, are no different from any of our other allied countries. The UK, New Zealand, the United States, all of our countries have intelligence services. What our intelligence services do is collect intelligence. That's what they exist for.
Of course,
I mean, the suggestion that somehow we have intelligence services but they don't collect intelligence is absurd. Of course they collect intelligence. And
the criticism of this example on East Timor, however, is that this went beyond diplomacy and general intelligence gathering. This was timed for the negotiations over the oil and gas treaty with East Timor, a fledgling nation at the time.
Well, so it's alleged. But as I said, we certainly, at no time in my life will I ever get into betraying the obligations that I undertook when I was the Foreign Minister to support the integrity of our intelligence services. If we start talking about intelligence operations publicly, we will destroy the capacity of our intelligence services to do the jobs they do for the Australian people. I mean, we would simply destroy our intelligence services. And I think it's really important people come to understand that. Well, there's an argument for not having any intelligence services, and I think the Greens would probably take that view. I mean, you know, it's a legitimate point of view.
Well, we'll see if
But if you're going to have intelligence services, you have to protect the privacy and the integrity of those institutions.
Senator?
Mr. Downer is a relic of a time and a government that thought going to war on Iraq was a good thing. What disastrous consequences did that lead us to? Mr. Downer was pivotal in the Pacific solution, where he negotiated with Nauru and PNG, the cruelest system, the most inhumane system for asylum seekers. I don't think anyone should be taking advice on foreign affairs from Mr. Downer.
Okay, we're talking about the use of intelligence here.
But I do want to respond.
You're into the ad hominem attacks, aren't you?
I didn't get an opportunity to answer the
Let's just let the Senator answer.
I do want to talk about how both Andrew and Alexander have spoken about the Pacific nations in a colonial, superior, big brother, and that's what intelligence gathering in that sense is about, attitude. These are sovereign nations who have every right to make decisions about their foreign policies with whoever they want to. You know, why they aren't talking to us is because for years there has been one priority asked for them, and that has been to act strongly on climate change. They have been asking for us to end coal and gas, and we have not done that. Unless we do that, we will not have good relations with those countries whose, you know, where water is lapping on their doorsteps.
Amanda Rishworth.
It's an existential crisis, and we're not acting on it. So we have to stop Beetaloo project. We have to stop the Scarborough project. We have to stop the 114 coal and gas mines and projects that both the Liberal and the Labor governments are pushing.
Amanda Rishworth, coming back to the Pacific.
Yes.
Labor's now in government.
Yes.
Do you share at all the view of Alexander Downer that we should be using intelligence to gather information on what China may be doing in these Pacific nations and use that?
Well, I'm not going to comment on what our intelligence agencies are doing. I am not privy to that. I've been in opposition. What I would say is if you've got a good trust with friends in your region, then what you can have is information sharing. And I reject Alexander Downer's comment that these are political talking points. We had a government that cut foreign aid.
I didn't say they were political talking points.
You said that we were doing partisan points on when it came to the Pacific. You did say that, and I'm saying that aid was cut, that things like the parliamentary exchange program was cut, and of course we weren't listening when it came to climate change, but other needs of the Pacific. We weren't listening to our Pacific neighbours. There's other things that strategically we're in the Pacific. We are with our Pacific neighbours, and that gives us a strategic advantage on things like labour mobility programs, which we stuffed up as a government. It is now up to Labor, and I am so pleased Penny Wong has gone straight on a plane to Fiji to actually see what she can do. And the Prime Minister of Fiji has been very welcoming of that. But this is the type of energy and resources we need directed to the Pacific, treating them like partners, treating them like friends.
Okay.